Have you ever seen a painting and wondered how a machine could create something so beautiful? Or read a poem that just moves you, and then found out it was written by an algorithm? Well, the answer to that is generative AI. It's a technology that's totally reshaping our digital world, and honestly, it's even making us rethink what creativity itself means. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this amazing tech, see how it works, what it can do, and what it all means for our future.
So to kick things off, let's start with a little test. You've probably scrolled past hundreds of images online today, but could you actually tell which ones were real and which were cooked up by a machine?
All right, take a look. We've got two pretty stunning landscapes here. One of them is a real photograph snapped at some breathtaking spot on our planet. The other one? Well, it was generated by an AI, a machine that's basically learned how to dream in pixels. Can you tell which is which? Take a good, close look. I promise it's not as easy as you might think.
So, did you make your guess? If you thought the image on the right was the fake one, you are absolutely right. But hey, don't worry if you got it wrong. This tech is getting scarily good. So how can you spot one in the wild? Well, the clues are usually hiding in the details. You gotta look for things like unnatural blurs, especially way in the background. Check the lighting and the shadows. Do they actually make sense? And if you can, zoom way in and look for any weird stray pixels. It's those little imperfections that can totally give the game away.
Okay, so now that we've had a little taste of what generative AI can do, let's really dig in. We'll start with how these machines learn to be creative in the first place. Then we'll pop the hood and look at the different AI models that are powering this whole revolution. After that, we'll check out how it's already changing our world, and finally, we'll get into the really big questions surrounding this incredible technology.
So let's start with the most basic question, right? How does a machine learn to create? I mean, how does it go from just crunching data to generating something completely new, something original? This is where the magic of generative AI really begins.
The best way to think of generative AI, or Gen AI for short, is like a digital apprentice. It spends all its time studying massive libraries of text, images, and music, and it learns all the tiny, intricate patterns and structures that make them what they are. And then, once it's basically mastered its craft, it can create something totally new, something that has never existed before, but it still feels familiar and authentic.
And this is where we see the big difference between Gen AI and what you might call conventional AI. You know, your spam filter, the facial recognition on your phone. That's conventional AI. It is brilliant at analyzing and classifying data. But generative AI, it's a creator. It's an artist, a writer, a composer. It doesn't just analyze the world, it actually adds to it with fresh, innovative, and often wonderfully unexpected creations.
To make this crystal clear, let's use a super simple analogy. Imagine a father teaching his two kids, let's call them Kid A and Kid B, all about cats and dogs.
So the father shows both kids hundreds of pictures of cats and dogs. Now, Kid B gets really good at pointing at a new picture and saying cat or dog. That's just like conventional AI. It's fantastic at labeling things. But Kid A, she's different. She's not just memorizing the pictures, she's learning the essence of what makes a cat and a dog a dog. So when her dad asks her to draw a new animal, she can create a picture of a cat or dog she's never ever seen before. Totally original, but it still looks real. Kid A, our little artist here, she's our generative AI.
Okay, so now that we get the basic idea, let's look at the different engines that make it all happen. We're going to explore some of the key AI models that are making all of this incredible creation possible. One of the most fascinating models out there is the Generative Adversarial Network, or GAN. And seriously, the best way to understand it is to imagine a high-stakes game of cat and mouse between a master art forger and a brilliant detective.
So a GAN is actually made of two competing parts. You have the generator, that's our art forger, and it's constantly creating fake images. Then you have the discriminator, our detective, and its whole job is to spot the fakes. Now, every single time the detective catches a forgery, the forger learns from its mistake and gets better. This relentless back and forth, this kind of artistic arms race, it just keeps going until the forger gets so good that the detective literally can't tell the difference between a real masterpiece and a brilliant fake.
But GANs are just one piece of the puzzle. There are other really powerful models, like variational autoencoders, or VAs, which are masters at learning the core essence of data to create new, realistic variations. And then you've got recurrent neural networks, or RNNs, which are brilliant at understanding sequences. This makes them the go-to models for stuff like writing text that flows naturally or composing a new melody.
Each model has its own strengths, and they're all playing a crucial role in this incredible explosion of generative AI.
So we've talked a lot about the theory, but where is generative AI actually making an impact in the real world? Let's take a look at some of the mind-blowing ways these tools are already reimagining our lives, our jobs, and our creativity.
Seriously, the applications are just exploding everywhere you look. We've got assistants that can write emails, draft poems, and even write computer code for us. There are AI composers creating everything from pop songs to classical symphonies. Artists are just typing in simple text prompts to conjure up these breathtaking images that would have been completely impossible just a few years ago. And in science, AI is speeding up discovery, helping researchers design new drugs and invent brand new materials.
This quote just nails it, right? It really captures how generative AI is changing the whole creative landscape. It's not about replacing human artists, it's about empowering them. It's a brand new tool, a new collaborator that can help us explore ideas faster, push the boundaries of our own imagination, and create things we never, ever thought were possible.
But like any powerful new technology, generative AI is absolutely a double-edged sword. With all of this incredible promise comes a really deep need for responsibility. On one side of that sword, the promise is just immense. It's putting these powerful creative tools into the hands of everyone, no matter what their skill level is. It's freeing us up from tedious, repetitive tasks so we can focus on what we actually do best. And it's supercharging scientific discovery, opening up whole new frontiers of knowledge and innovation.
But on the other side, you've got the challenges and the big open questions that we're all trying to figure out together. Because these models learn from tons of public data, the quality of that data is everything. There's also the challenge of creating convincing content that could be used to mislead people. And it's sparking these huge new conversations around topics like who actually owns something an AI creates, and how does this change the nature of certain jobs? These are the complex, fascinating problems we have to solve as this technology keeps evolving.
So what it all boils down to is this. Navigating this new world requires a really careful balance. It demands thoughtful regulation, ethical guidelines, and just a big public conversation about how we want to bring these tools into our society in a way that actually benefits everyone.
In the end, generative AI is kind of like a mirror. It reflects our own creativity, our ingenuity, and our values. It is a profoundly powerful tool, but at the end of the day, it's just that, a tool. So the real question isn't what the AI will become, but what we will choose to be. The future of this technology isn't written in code. It's being written in the choices we make today. Thanks for joining me on this journey.